All right, peace, family. Let's hope this is working. Can anybody hear me? Hey, let's see. All right, so long story short, this is going to be actually pretty quick. I'm hoping this could be quick because I have stuff to do. But we're going to talk science. All right, I got this article in front of me. As you can see, is time is not real. Physicists show everything happens at the same time. And this is just kind of what, like, this is one of the reasons why I don't like white folk, or even why you don't see me, like, you won't see me selling out to white folk. Because my thing is this, that white folk are, let's say this, they not, no, white folk are dumb, but they ain't stupid. That's what I always say. But, like, when I say white folk are dumb, I mean white folk are dumb. You about to see this white boy. This video, time is not real. Physicists show everything happens at the same time. The trouble with white folk is that they got schools and you don't. So when they have schools and you don't, they can produce fools with degrees or fools from good schools, and they could confuse you. So I actually got this article coming from one of the brothers. I don't even got to show him out. I mean, he could probably comment in the section. He could probably comment in the comment section. But I'm actually gonna show you one of these articles from one of these brothers, and he showed it to me. He's like, "Look, man, time is real. I mean, time is not real. I've been told you, everything happens." And it's like, no, this is not even physics. Some of you don't even realize this is not even physics. Like, and you're gonna see. I'm just gonna show. I could just show you the video that they show you. I can just show you the video that they show you. But I'm gonna go through. I don't know if you guys like when I read articles, but I'm just gonna read this one. It's short, and hopefully I have enough time to explain this thing. But look, time is not real. It is a human construct to help us differentiate between now and your perception of the past, an equally astonishing and baffling theory states, right? Yeah. Like, and remember this too. This is something you gotta realize. When it says theory, when white folks say theory, that means that it's unsubstantiated, it's not solidified, it's not proven, it's not a law. You understand? Now, when it comes to physics, and I hope you guys can hear me. I kind of turned down the audio in a sense so that you could hear me. That's why I'm speaking a little louder. But when it comes to theory versus law, what you realize is that like there's a law of thermodynamics, right? And already when you know thermodynamics, you know time exists because thermodynamics is a law. It's not a theory. It's the law of statistical mechanics and how particles entropy, so on and so forth, resolve after a certain amount of time. How it comes to an equilibrium after a certain amount of time. Like give you an example, or even velocity. You have to know velocity, acceleration. These two principles are derivative of time. Okay, they're derivative of time. But even when you say like temperature, like the particles that make up the temperature in a room, right? The particles that make up a temperature in a room are varying speeds, varying speeds. So if you measure the velocity of each particle, they are of varying speeds, and those variable speeds make it so that you feel the temperature that you're feeling. Okay, so there's some there's a whole curve to it, and that's something that you probably want to look into yourself. I haven't looked into it since college, and I haven't been to college in like 10 years. But what I'm saying to you is that there's a law of thermodynamics that relies upon time. So there's this whole and of course there's entropy and how entropy keeps how entropy keeps going pretty much. And these kind of things, this is all settled mathematics. This right here, what you're going to see is what you call philosophy. Okay, it's going to be philosophy. It's not going to be physics. There's nothing mathematical here. There's nothing, and it's not to say that all physics got to be mathematical, but what I'm saying is this is just a person who's like, hey, let's just be dismissive of things. Let's just be dismissive of established science and try to make something new, and that's fine. You could do that. That's well and good, but that's philosophy. It's not physics. But because he comes from a good school, so of course you're gonna say, hey man, maybe this guy has some legitimacy. Let me see if I can be heard. Physics. Yeah. All right. Good. So let's go. Wait. Let me just remind this brother that I'm hold on a second. I said I'm just gonna do this live, quick fast. Quick fast. I'm just gonna do it live. All right, so look, that's right. The concept of time is simply an illusion made up of human memories. Like, look how stupid this is. The concept of time is simply an illusion made up of human memories. Everything that has ever been and ever will be is happening right now. Now, here's the trouble with this, right? The trouble with this is that you're gonna notice that this dude, this white boy, only establishes that the past happened. He's not gonna establish that the future happened. Now, I'm not saying that, I'm not saying that, hey, you know what? I'm not saying there's no way to know the future. I'm not saying that. Okay, because there's a whole, you know, and you wouldn't really no most people don't call it science, most people don't call it physics, but there's this kind of thing called divination. There's this kind of thing called sand divination, this kind of divination. You have deja vu. A lot of these things do kind of make you think, hey, you know what? Maybe there's this future world, right? So I'm gonna give this guy a bone. I'm gonna give these people a bone, but in reality, like as far as we know, this whole idea of like memories. This is that. First off, you see this human memories. That's why I don't even go by. Like a lot of times people give me flack. They're like, man, why are you always saying? Why you say? Cause I call people animals. And the reason why I call people animals is because this is what the white boy does. Is that when you start separating us from animals, you start making it seem like we're something special. That we created the concept of time. When everybody knows that time goes for like aging. You know what I'm saying? Like you see my little boy, little man, right? Soon he'll be an adult. Soon he'll be an elder, right? Ancestors willing, right? That's time. That's time. But let's go on. Let's just go on to the meat and potatoes. Because the thing is, this whole thing is ridiculous. So it's almost like, why are you even doing this? But it's something. It's fun. We talking physics. We talking science, right? Let's talk science. He said it. All right. That is a theory according to a group of esteemed physicists who aim to solve one of the universe's mysteries. Most people do not even consider the concept of time, but there is nothing in the laws of physics to state that it should be moved in the forward direction that we know of, right? The laws of physics are symmetric, ultimately meaning that time could have easily moved in a backward direction as it does forward. You see what I'm saying? Now, this is so stupid. Like, the laws of physics are symmetric. Now, again, that's not true. Entropy is not symmetric. You understand? You could even say acceleration is not necessarily symmetric. Come on. Let's go. And now look, this right here, this is like the only proof you really need. This is like the only proof you really need that this video is ridiculous. But like this whole concept is ridiculous. And I'm just going to show you guys. Hopefully you guys can hear it.
Max, what is it about time that we even ask the question, is time fundamental?
Well, there have been so many other things in physics that we thought were fundamental that turned out to be mere illusions, that we've started questioning everything, even time itself. And I think that time itself is not an illusion, but the flow of time is an illusion.
All right, so look, I mean, like, come on. I think
The change is an illusion.
It's very strange because it sounds like time is flow and time is defined by flow. How can you have time and flow of time being different?
We can think of our reality as either a three-dimensional place where stuff happens over time, or as a four-dimensional place where nothing happens. 1, 2, 3 dimensions of space and a fourth dimension of time. And if it really is the second picture, which is the one that Einstein gave us and called space-time, then change really is an illusion, because there's nothing that's changing there. It's all in there. The past, the present, the future. So if life is like a movie, then this space-time is like the entire DVD. There's nothing about the DVD itself which is changing in any way, even though there's all this drama unfolding in it.
But if you watch it, you have the illusion that things are happening over time.
Exactly. And in exactly that way, we have the illusion at any one moment that the past happened and the future doesn't exist yet, and that things are changing. But I am...
All right, wait, so watch this guy. So you heard that. Now the trouble is this. That's a misunderstanding of what is space-time, okay? Space-time more has to do with where you are relatively, right, impacts when things will happen. And to say it differently, if all right, to give you an example, if a car crash happens, right, you will, if you're standing right by the car crash, right? That's going to happen. All right, let's say it this way. If somebody's involved in a car crash, that happens to them instantaneously, more or less, right? But you standing, so many miles away or so many feet away or whatever, so many miles away, that light is going to take a moment to come to you. And so when you see that the car crash happened, right? It already happened so much time ago. So it was already the past for you. I mean, it's already the past for the person involved in the crash, but it's the now for you, even though these two moments seem to be happening instantaneous. I mean, seem to be happening, they're technically happening, they're happening at different times. You see? Because you're observing it. Now, but look at how this dude, now that's really what space-time is. Basically, the idea that time, that when things happen is dependent upon the observer. Okay? Or even saying it this way, if you were to be riding at the speed of light away from a car crash, right? At the speed of light, then you will never see the car crash. Because the light from the car crash will never reach you. So in essence, that never happened for you. But of course, you can't travel the speed of light. Now, if you're traveling close to the speed of light, then it's gonna take light a while to catch up with you, in a sense, right? Or it's gonna take light a longer time to get to you, and then so taking that long time to get to you, you will be like, oh man, there was a car crash, a million, so long ago. You get what I'm saying? Because it's like, let's say it takes an hour for light to reach you. Then you're gonna say, wow, a car crash, and you're gonna keep zooming by. Sorry. The point being, but of course that's all on a scale of, oh, you're moving at the speed of light, kind of scale. Because usually, light moves so fast compared to how small things are. If you see the car crash, like you're gonna hear the car crash. I mean, you're gonna see the car crash, then you're gonna hear it later. It's kind of like there's a finite speed to how fast light can move, and that impacts everything. But look how this dude, this white boy, he's gonna just say this. He's gonna be like, yeah, I just said something miraculous, because he's just a philosopher in a sense, right? And a poor one at that. But he's just a philosopher, and then look how he's gonna explain it now.
Really, in my life, is really a curve, a so-called world line through this space-time, and everywhere along this, there's a moment of consciousness that I have, which has the same illusion that things are happening. But really, I only live now, and all I'm ever aware of is my brain state right now. The only reason I feel like I had a past is I have information right now which contains memories about recorded there about the past, and this generates this beautiful illusion that there's actually anything changing.
So if time...
Yeah, come on.
North Korea is
Come on. Yeah, like that's the guy. That's the physicist. That's him. But I just shit. Maybe the illusion of But this is the trouble with us as a people, because we don't have our own universities. So what we're doing is relying on these white folk to give us these information, and then they have these idiots that just say, hey, look, I'm white, so I'm right. And then we come on, we're like, hey man, this man's white and he's right. But it's like, why? I mean the dude can't even articulate. There's no math involved, no physics, but let's keep going. Indeed, some adherents to the Big Crunch theory say time will run backwards when the universe stops expanding and starts contracting back on itself, right? Okay. The conundrum as to why we interpret time in a forward motion has led scientists to question why. Now look at this. Some adherents to the Big Crunch theory, Big Crunch, some adherents will run backwards. That's it. There's no proof. No proof. Notice at the title of this. Look at the title. Shows. Physicists show everything happens at the same time. Physicists show everything that happens. There's nothing showing. It's just, some of us believe that, it's just a possibility. Good. This conundrum as to why we interpret time in a forward motion has led scientists to question why. Inevitably, some have concluded that time is simply a human construct. And it's like, oh my gosh. All right. They argue that there are a block universe where time and space are connected, otherwise known as space-time. The theory, which is backed up by, and look how they try to name drop, Albert Einstein, whatever, which is backed up by Einstein's theory of relativity, states that space and time are part of a four-dimensional structure where everything that has happened has its own coordinate time. Yeah, okay. Again, all right, it has happened, right? This would allow everything to be real in the sense that the past and even the future are still there in space-time, making everything equally important as the present. And this is the trouble with this. It's like what people don't understand about this is that that's not how it works. That's not how it works. It's not how any of it works. The idea behind space-time, again, the idea behind space-time is this idea that because light has to travel at a finite pace, that the photons from an event will reach something at a certain point in time that might not necessarily be the same time, or even said differently, when you're looking at a star, right? When you're looking at a star, it could be, let's say a star is 4 million light years away. That means that you're looking at a star from 4 million years ago. And that star might not be there anymore, or it might not look. It might be doesn't look the same way as it does now. But because you can see it from 4 million light years ago, that's your now. But the idea that now but the two things are still happening concurrently. It's just a matter of, can you observe it? Like, can you observe it? Can you observe it anything but 4 million light years away? And you can't. That's the difference. You understand? Now, technically, you could shift some, sort of, in some ways, the light can travel a certain way, and, the light bending and all that. But the reality is that this is all it is. That there is a moment where an entity or an event happens, and then depending on where you are as an observer, you will observe it at a different point in time. But that event happens and doesn't happen again, and that's it. And it's not logged in, it's not kept up, there's nothing. It's just a photon radiates and meets an observer. So the photon from the star just goes out and meets your eye, and that's it. That's all we're talking about. But because these people are just sitting down, what if blah blah blah? Well, maybe that means that everything's happening. No, not everything's happening at the same time. Something happens, and then the photon takes a moment to travel there. So what is now on a planet 4 million years ago, or 4 million years from now, will not be a now for us for another 4 million years. If that's what makes sense. So what's happening now is going to be the distant past when it reaches Earth. Does that make sense? All right. Blah, 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 blah. This will allow to be real in the sense that the past and even the future are still there in space-time, making everything equally important as the present. So this is where it's false. This is where everything breaks down. So look, they dropped this name. They dropped this university, and that's really important. You see, what we need is our universities to drop behind the names of our scholars. We don't have our universities. So we look at these white people. We don't know who Max Tegmark is. He's talking like some fool. But he says Massachusetts Institute of Technology. That's one of the top universities in America. So MIT, right? MIT physicist Max Tegmark told Space.com, we can portray our reality as either a three-dimensional space where stuff happens over time, or the four-dimensional space where nothing happens, block universe. And it's really the second picture that change really is an illusion, because there's nothing that's changing. It's all just there, past, present, and future. And again, it's not there as future. Because again, in order for it to be a future, it has to be a future photon. There's a thing as a future photon. You understand? You can't observe something before it happens because you need the light to travel to you. You understand? It's like if you walk into a dark room and then you turn on the light and everything is radiated, right? There's no photons bouncing off of you when it's a dark room. Particularly if it's a really, really dark room, right? You can't see anything. So nothing, like, not to say that nothing's there, but in order for you to see something, you have to radiate the photons. And that's what you're going to be seeing. So the idea that, oh yeah, we could see the future. No, you can't see a future because there's nothing for the photons to radiate from. It's like before I walk into a certain position in a dark room, right? If there's no photon to radiate against me, it's not going to radiate a photon. The future does not just like that's what I'm like. You have to understand that it's all about photonic reception. That's it. It's just photonic reception. The brother can't hear me. All right, hold on. All right, let me turn up this thing. I hope I don't get too loud. Bro said he can't hear me. Yeah, it's just photonic reception. Is that better? I mean, I don't know if it's going to now sound like thing. Does not just like. All right, but anyway, photonic reception. So, yeah, it's just photonic reception. It's all just past and present. We have the illusion of any given moment. Future doesn't exist yet, and things are changing. But all I'm ever aware of is in my brain state right now. The only reason I feel like I have a past is that my brain contains memories, and it's like, no, you know what I'm saying? Like no, I mean no. Again, it's like, because like even with books, you know that books give you an insight into the past as well. You know, or said differently, you can never observe Shaka Zulu. You can never observe Shaka Zulu today because there's no way for a photon, right, to be leaving Shaka Zulu and reaching you here on Earth. Now, if you are already on a distant planet and you were looking at Earth, then sure, the photon of Shaka Zulu would probably now be reaching you, but there's no way for you to intercept that photon, because in order to intercept that photon, you would have to go faster than light and beat Shaka Zulu's light to it. You understand? This is what is meant by, oh no, not everything's happening at the moment. What is happening is the photons bouncing off of the photon that bounced off of Shaka Zulu once upon a time is now traveling through space, right? And meeting is just traveling through space, or it has met some observer already. That's what's happening. So you could say, yeah, somewhere in the future, someone's gonna be like, oh, Shaka Zulu was a great, someone might, something might happen such that something can observe Shaka Zulu per se, right? And it's not really, too practical or likely, but we could say, okay, it's a possibility. But the idea that, oh, well, that means the past is happening right now. No, not at all. Not even remotely. Like yes, you could say the present is happening, but there's no such thing as a future going on right now because there's no photonic reception. There's nothing for the photon to reflect against. Right? Let me see how this sounds. And it's not really, too practical. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. When I turn up my thing, it kind of crackles a little, but let's see. So Julian Barbour, a British physicist who has authored several books on the subject of time, describes everything as a series of nows. Dr. Barbour told physicist and author Adam Frank in the book about time, cosmology, culture, and the twilight of the Big Bang, as we live, we seem to move through a succession of nows, and the question is, what are they? He explains, adding to the space-time theory where everything has its own place, you can think of it as a landscape or country. Each place in this country is a now, and I call the country Platonia because it's timeless and created by perfect mathematical laws, right? It's stupid. All right, he adds that what we perceive as the past is simply an illusion formed in our brains. Like, no. Again, no. Like, the past relates, like, again, you go back to velocity. Velocity is movement over time, right? Space traveled over time. Time that passed. It's to even say that light has a speed, you have to go by velocity and time. You have to go by time. You have to go by movement and time. Dr. Barbour, the only evidence you have of last week is your memory, but memory comes from a stable structure of neurons in your brains now. Okay, what about it? The only evidence we have of the Earth's past is rocks and fossils, but they are just stable structures in the form of arrangement of minerals we examine in the present. The point is, all we have are these records, and you only have them in this now. And look how stupid this is. Like, this is one of the things that made me say, you know what, I gotta go online and show you that white people are stupid, and that you can You can't overcome them if you just apply yourself. Because right now they are really stupid, but they're ahead of you. They're still ahead of you, even though they're stupid. This guy's gonna say the only records you have are like the only records are the ones that you have now. You only have them in this now. There are a lot of things that do not have a record. Or let's say it differently. I was just looking at this book talking about dinosaurs and crap, right? And one of the things was that they had shellfish, right? They said, oh, well, the shellfish, what happens if the shellfish dies? The shellfish will then, like, it's laying on the bottom of the sea, then, like, some mud will come over it. And when that mud hardens and all that crap, then that, like, you can recover that, that piece of mud, you can uncover it, and sure enough, you'll see a preserved shell. And that's what we would call a fossil, right? There were a lot of shellfish that were not preserved as fossils. There were a lot of dinosaurs that were not preserved. A lot of animals, everything, millions. Okay, millions, billions. It wasn't preserved as fossils. The idea that, oh, well, we have a record. That's the only reason why we know there's a past. Yeah, duh. But that does not mean that the future is something that has already happened. You're showing that the past is something that already happened. That's what we already know. You are not establishing that the future already happened. Okay? You're not establishing that. And the thing is, the truth is that you cannot establish that because you can never observe something that hasn't happened. Again, the only way you can observe something is if a photon reaches you. That photon will only reach you if it's emitted from a light source, and that light source then if it emits from the light source and then it bounces off of that entity that you're trying to observe. Okay? If the photon does not bounce off of that entity, for instance, if I turn on the light somewhere and I'm standing behind something such that the light does not come at me, you will not be able to observe whatever. You won't be able to observe me. So the thing with the future thing is that you're saying, hey, look, I'm going to be able to observe something that doesn't even have light emitting off of it. It doesn't make sense. And the thing is, this is what white people are doing. They're just saying things. No mathematics to establish it. That's an article, by the way. No mathematics to establish it. No. Nothing, and then the dude, when he's trying to explain it, he's just but because they have universities, because they have a tradition, right? Because they have schools and they have experts and they have people who are interested in these things. Because they have this, we're looking at them, listening to them, reading them. They're not entertaining us. They're not listening to us. They're not reading us, and almost for good reason. But again, you can do this. You can do this. You can get down, do the math, and you can see what's going on. But like I was saying earlier, thermodynamics is a law. Is the established, like if you look at physics, one of the only established physics in one of the only established schools of thought in physics is thermodynamics. That's statistical mechanics. It's straight up statistics, pretty much. But the mechanics of statistics, and in that you see, entropy, so on and so forth. All of that. That's established science. Theory isn't established science. Okay, theory is not established science, and not only that, a lot of these people are just like I said. I went to grad school with these people. I went to some of them people in my grad school classes, some of my classmates, white boys, older years than me. They were like, oh, I don't know how to do calculus. You know what I'm saying? Some of them were just imaginative nerds. Let's play Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, gosh, right? They're just nerds. They're just people who want to try to prove something or try to make a name for themselves, try to challenge some physicists from way back, and that's fine. But it's not established science. And right here, no evidence, no proof, nothing. It's just this guy who's like, we wanna, because the thing is, that's Descartes. Descartes was like, he said the same thing. You know, I think like white people always come around with this idea that we don't really know anything, and that's fine. It makes sense. That's what white people should be doing. But for us, we can't keep going to them. But anyway, I wanted to just be brief, short, to the point. Hopefully, you guys hear that, like that. Hopefully, you see something with it. But yeah, actually, let me see if I can read this one comment. I think it's how you call Madonna is inseparable. The universe exists all at once. So too does. Yeah, we just haven't. Yeah, okay. So that's what I'm saying. This is a misconception. All the space in the universe exists all at once. So too does all the time in the universe. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Like again, space time. Space time is really just a matter of how, like the fact that light travels at a finite time. So what Einstein introduces is this idea that light travels at a finite speed. So if light travels at a finite speed, then what is considered? So then, when something happens, again, the observer, like depending on where you are, you see it differently. So for instance, and the classic example is the train where two lightning bolts flash on both sides of the train, right? Now, if if you're in the center of the train, if you're in the center of two lightning bolts that happen instantaneously, right? You can count it and say, oh, because you're at the center, the light from the lightning travels to you at the same time. So you're like, yeah, they both happen at the same time. However, if you're on a moving train and you're driving in the direction of one of the lightning bolts in a sense, right? Then, let's say if they both happen at the same time for the person who's stagnant, they're not going to happen at the same time for you because the light's going to take some time to travel to you. Well, one of the lights is traveling farther and the other one is traveling closer. And so when you see the photon, the light has a different time. You get what I'm saying? So the light has a different time, meaning that, you might say, well, they're 2 seconds apart if you're traveling that fast, right? All that to say that, one person saw them happening at the same time, another person saw them happening at two different times. So that's where you get the space-time analogy. Not to say that everything's happening at the same time. No, it's just to say that one bolt of light is particular to a certain space-time coordinate, and another one is particular to a certain particular space-time coordinate. But that's it. It's just a matter of, okay, the photons have to travel to a certain observer, and they triangulate to a person, to an observer, and that triangulation might have a time dilation or a time delay depending on what the observer is doing and where the observer is. You see what I'm saying? That's it. Depending on what the observer is doing, where the observer is, the time may be dilated. But these two events happen, and they happen at a particular time. They didn't already happen. The lightning didn't already happen. It's not already written out somewhere. The lightning didn't already, the lightning's not going to happen again. It's not going to blah, blah, blah. The reality is that that's all it is. That's all the space-time conversation is. These white people talking about, well, that means the future. They're people who do not understand the space-time, and they're just doing philosophy. Have you heard of Ra'on Nefer Amen? Yeah, I heard of the dude. I sat, look, a lot of these people are direct. Like, we're talking about this guy, what's his name? Elijah Muhammad on Twitter. Elijah Muhammad and derivatives of him. A lot of them were just con artists. A lot of them were con artists with no real physics, no real physical background, nothing to signify that yes, they're like a lot of people just saying things. Like, I have this video, matter of fact, I think I actually just put it on YouTube. I just put it on Twitter. I'm gonna try to see if I can bring it up. Where Elijah Muhammad is telling you about where black people's hair come from or something like that, and it's remarkable. By the way, everybody, you can follow me on YouTube. You can follow, subscribe, whatever, on YouTube. You can also do the follow me on Twitter. I'm at Onitai said, you already know. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna show you guys this. This is Elijah Muhammad. This is actually pretty interesting. Because to a lot of people like Raul Nefer, all of them kind of go to this guy's school. Let's see if you can hear this.
Scientists 50,000 years ago.
All right, so he's gonna say African people came from East Asia. No, African people were created by this dude named Shabazz 50,000 years ago. Remember that we're like 2 million years old. But he's gonna say we were created 50,000 years ago by this dude named Shabazz to conquer the jungles of East Asia, which doesn't even make any sense because you would say if you're gonna call Africa East Asia, you should call it West Asia, not East Asia. But you know, whatever.
As they are today, they always meet together and discuss, you know, major things that is going to take place. And each one, you know, passes his own judgment of, we say, vote on whether or not it should be done. So this man, he wanted to, his name was Shabazz. He wanted to make a people different from what we had at that time, and he wanted people that could live in the jungles of East Asia and be able to withstand the hot sun and the wild beasts, anything. He wanted to make a tough man. That don't mean now we was not black now. We was black right on. But we was more delicate, you know, and tender than the man that he produced. So he says to the 11 scientists, if you agree with me, he says, we can produce the people to conquer the jungles of East Asia, as they call it Africa today. And he said we could conquer this part of our planet with this type of people. So he gave them the description and the method how to go about it. And he went and waited on answers, and they never would agree with him. And finally, he said he will not agree with the other 11. He would take his family himself and go and live there and prove to them that he could produce a people that would conquer the jungles of East Asia. And that's where it come in.
Was this the origin then of the tribe of Shabazz?
Yes, sir. That's the origin of it.